Hello, ladies and gentlemen, gabestah here. This is the gold tank guide for the Proving Grounds from patch 5.4. And for this gold difficulty on the tank stuff, you'll have to deal with all of the new mob types that are introduced in the previous waves, as well as a couple extra. So we'll just go through the waves here. You got 10 total for the gold difficulty. And the first wave starts with a small wind guard and small ripper. As you'll remember from the previous difficulties, wind guards use a knockback, which just happened there. That can drop your threat temporarily from the wind guard. So whenever possible, try to keep the wind guard targeted in case you need to taunt it back onto you. Otherwise, first wave is very simple. And second wave here, start off with a number of forgers. So use AE attacks to pick them all up, and then focus on the flame caller primarily. This is the most dangerous mob of this group. You can choose to either just focus on your survival or to help DPS with AE attacks, depending on which you prefer. But as is always the case, the NPC monk who you're helping out, she'll do the majority of the damage in these scenarios. So you can see at the right of my mini-map, she's already done what is that, 79% or so of the total damage. So your real focus should just be on survival. Wave 3 starts off very simple. You've got 2 rippers, but now you've got some ambushers. I can't even speak. Ambushers. There we go. And these guys are very common from now on. Basically, when they spawn, they'll spawn and run straight toward the monk NPC. And you need to aggro them quickly, lest they destroy her face. So the best thing to do is that they'll spawn infrequently, maybe 8 to 10 seconds apart at the fastest. So simply stand out of range of her and use a taunt, and that'll pull them to you, and then make sure you attack them just like you would in normal tank mechanics. So here you can see I'm taunting an ambusher, and it comes over to me, and then I make sure to hit it before my taunt wears off. And now it'll stay on me. And there was a knockback from the wind guard. So here you can see things get a little complicated. If you get a knockback and use your taunt on the wind guard, then an ambusher spawns in this fourth wave. So you need to pick that up with another form of threat. So I elect to use one of my stuns just to buy myself time. You can see that the monk NPC that you're helping has a fair amount of health, and she does heal herself. So it's not the end of the world if she has threat for a little while, but it's a good practice to focus on keeping her from getting hit, basically. I tried to drop healing orbs under her. She wouldn't have any of that. So wave number 5 is a small flame caller at the start. Try to interrupt its volley if possible, but it's not a big deal if you don't. And you can see that's taken care of pretty quickly. But then secondary spawns in this wave is a wind guard along with some ambushers. So here comes the ambusher. And one thing to keep note of is the ambushers chain cast Fan of Knives, essentially. It's an AE attack. You can see the graphic pretty clearly. And you want to keep them about 10 yards or 15 yards away from the center of the room, away from the monk NPC that you're helping, so that she does not get hit by that. So you can see I kind of tend to tank around the outside edges of the circle that we're near. And then wave 6, start getting conquerors once again, which you saw in the silver, right at the end of the silver challenge. So the main thing here is to focus on when they become enraged, and note that your damage intake will be much higher on this point. However, you also need to watch for powerful slam. There I actually get hit by it. It's essentially an attack in front of them, and note that the graphic on it does not always signify exactly where it's landing. So pretty much just look at their facing. In front of them, approximately 10 yards or so in a cone is where the slam will actually hit. Anyway, the best thing to do is to run through a conqueror when it's casting slam, and you'll be able to avoid that pretty easily. Alright, so wave 7, we've got a windguard and a conqueror, both small. So I'm keeping the windguard targeted in case it uses knockback, and then just watching the conqueror's casts to see when it uses its slam and try to run through. So there you can see he's facing the other direction, even though the graphic appeared near me. So just watch his facing primarily. And keep in mind you can use stuns on the conquerors. Pretty much all these mobs can be stunned, with the exception of when the conqueror becomes enraged. For that 10-second period when they're very large and do more damage, they cannot be CC'd. So keep that in mind. If you need to buy yourself time to heal up a little bit, you can use stuns on these mobs. And otherwise, just cleaning up that wave. Pretty simple. All right, wave 8, we've got a large conqueror and a flame caller. So I focus on the flame caller first. It's not going to be the most damaging, but it does the most random damage of the two. So because it's small also, you can kill it off very quickly. But generally speaking, you're going to want to assist the NPC monk that's helping you, and that will, be the target that dies first, essentially. So you might as well help her out and kill it a little faster. So if you're having trouble surviving or anything like that, you can make an assist macro and basically assist her target throughout these challenges, and that will speed things up a lot. So this 8th wave, you can see there's a lot of spawns. Flame caller originally, which we killed, large conqueror, small ambusher, and a large ambusher. So as usual with the ambushers, taunt them from out of melee range, then use an attack on them to keep threat. And remember, don't be afraid to use your stuns or other forms of CC, especially for the large conqueror when it is not enraged. And once 1 or 2 of these die, then it's just cleanup. Wave 9 starts with a large flame caller. And since it's by itself, you should be able to focus it down pretty quickly. You can use interrupts to interrupt the invoke lava so it doesn't cast pools all around the room. But its pyroblast casts are quite dangerous, so don't be afraid to use a minor cooldown if you need to on that. It should die first since it was the first to spawn, so the monk NPC will have threat. You also want to pick up that ambusher that spawned, and then you'll get the large conqueror plus a small windguard. So once again, keep the windguard targeted here in case you get the threat loss from its knockback. You can taunt it back. And then just watch your mitigation because of the large conqueror, especially when he's enraged. And make sure you do your monk or your tank rotations properly. Another ambusher will spawn throughout this wave. You can see it's a very long wave. There's a lot of stuff that's going to appear. So I used taunt on the first ambusher, didn't have taunt for the next one, so I just use an AE attack and stand near it as it's running in, so I get threat right away. The combination of ambushers plus conquerors is quite a bit of incoming damage. So this is not the most dangerous wave, so you try to save your big cooldowns for the final wave, the 10th one. But again, if you have a minor cooldown, this would be a good time to use it until at least one of these mobs is killed. There we go. And you may notice that the ambusher's attack, the Fan of Knives, applies a stacking snare debuff, which lowers your movement speed. Usually it's not a big deal because you should be able to do everything from range, such as taunt new ambushers and whatnot. But just keep that in mind. If you're moving slow, that's the reason. So finally, wave 10, you got 2 minutes, so there's a lot of stuff that's going to come out here. Get this flame caller interrupted quickly, and then try to get kind of a more centered position so you can pick up new spawns easily. Here we've got double large conquerors and a windguard. So this is potentially a very dangerous trio of mobs. Both those conquerors are going to enrage, and things could be dicey. There's also a small ambusher to pick up. So both the conquerors have enraged at the same time. So use your big damage reduction cooldowns for this point. You just need to buy yourself 10 seconds at which point they'll drop their enrage, and then you can use stuns to help you heal up, basically. She will heal you mostly. But yeah, that's the real dangerous part, because you've got 3 mobs initially, plus another ambusher that comes in, and both these guys, while enraged, are going to do a lot of damage to you. We've got 2 more ambushers, large ones, so another time where your cooldowns are going to be used. So try to save any extra cooldowns for when the conquerors become enraged. You also might want to use a stun here, so I preempt their enrage with a stun there on the whole group, and that buys me about 5 seconds as a monk. And that's enough time for the ambushers to be killed before these conquerors enrage, which is really all you need to do at this point. And try to avoid the slams. That's another big thing for this wave. If you get slammed, you'll be stunned, and if you have no way to break the stun, all these mobs are going to hit you. You won't be dodging or parrying anything. So pretty standard tank stuff that you're probably aware of, but basically you can't avoid attacks while you're stunned. So it's really important that you not get hit by slams. Anyway, once you finish this wave, that will be the final wave, and you'll have your gold tank challenge complete. As usual, good luck, thanks for watching, and if you enjoyed, please subscribe.